Hello horror nerds, this is Nerdcore Creep, and welcome to my 200 subscriber special. Today I am going to be giving you a walkthrough of the process of creating my videos for your viewing and listening entertainment. So the first step in the narration process is finding a story. There are many different sources that I find my stories from, and that I can browse through before deciding which one I want to record for the day. So what we have here is Reddit, we have creepypastastories.com, creepypasta.com, and the Creepypasta Wiki. Um, so our first option is the Creepypasta Wiki. Now, most of the content on the wiki falls under the Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 rule, which means basically that you don't necessarily have to ask for permission to use these stories, but you do need to credit the original author and the source where you got them from. So, for example, I use the Creepypasta Wiki for my classic creepypasta stories that I do the first week of every month. So what I would do is I would go to Content, Recommended Reading, Classic Creepypastas. And then we have a list of many older classic creepypasta stories to use. Now let's say I wanted to narrate Herobrine. So I would click on the story, and then we have the entire story written here. Now, at the end of the story, we have this little block of wording here. Community content is available under Creative Commons by SA unless otherwise noted. So if you're not sure what that means, you can always click on this link. Except where otherwise permitted, the text on fandom communities, known as wikis, is licensed under the Creative Commons Attributions Share Alike License 3.0. So you would also click on here just to get the full description, and it tells you everything you are allowed to do. You are allowed to share, copy, and redistribute the material in any medium or format, or adapt, you may remix, transform, and build upon the material for any purpose, even commercially. The licensor cannot revoke these freedoms as long as you follow the license terms, and under the terms you must give appropriate credit, provide a link to the license, and indicate if changes were made. You may do so in any reasonable manner, but not in any way that suggests the licensor endorses you or your use. If you remix, transform, or build upon the material, you must distribute your contributions under the same license as the original. So, basically what that means is us narrators are allowed to narrate these stories located on the Creepypasta Wiki as long as we give credit. Now, there are situations where content may have been stolen and placed on the wiki without the original author's knowledge, which is why it is always a good idea to at least make an attempt to contact the original author, just to make sure, just to check all your boxes and make sure that you are clear to use the story. But at the very least, you want to give credit. So, for this particular video, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to use Reddit. Now, we also have creepypastastories.com and creepypasta.com. And these are very good sources as well. But for these particular websites, you have to track down and get permission from the author before using their stories. And same thing with most of the subreddits, such as No Sleep. You have to make sure you get permission before using the stories. But for this particular subreddit that I'm using, it's called r/free horror stories. Every story on this subreddit falls under the Attribution 3.0, similar to the Creepypasta Wiki. So you are allowed to use any of these stories as long as you give credit. So for this particular walkthrough, I'm going to read the story called Free Coffee by MPZ1968. This author also wrote the story number 2, which I read last week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my browser over to this side, and I'm going to open up Audacity, and I'm going to drag this window over to this side. And now we can start recording. Free Coffee. Written by MPZ1968. For anyone who knows me, I am an avid coffee drinker. I drink coffee 24/7. As a matter of fact, I have a Facebook page with the same name. Check it out. Anyway, I've got a very pleasant, yet very disturbing story to tell. So here we go. After work, while waiting for my ride, I decided to go over to a local coffee shop and grab a cup of coffee. So I strolled on over there, walked in the door, up to the counter, and ordered a medium coffee with cream and sugar, just how I like it. Don't judge. The cashier lady, not my favorite cashier lady, a beautiful blonde goddess with angelic blue eyes that I'd been crushing on for months, I didn't see her anywhere. As a matter of fact, I didn't see anyone else either. Just me and the new girl, an older lady, kinda creepy with stringy gray hair, age spots, and these fucked up looking green eyes. Anyway, she went to go make my coffee. Seconds later, she came back with said coffee and placed it on the counter in front of me, rang it up, and told me the price. I, with anticipation of tasting this wonderful concoction that now sits in front of me, whipped out my debit card and proceeded to swipe it through the card reader. Then the most horrific thing happened. Those 4 little words that no one with a debit card ever wants to hear came flashing on the screen. Unable to read card. No, this can't be happening. So I swiped my card again. Same thing. Again. Same thing. Ugh. So the creepy cashier lady says, "Let me see if I can swipe it through on my side." Okay. Anything at this point. So she swiped the card through on her side. Same thing. Why? Lord, why? Meanwhile, I can hear the coffee calling my name. Mike. Mike. Oh, the torture. She then looked at me and says, "Hey, don't you work at the grocery store across the street?" I say, yes, I do. Here's the disturbing part. She says, "It's just coffee. You can have it on the house." The angels started singing. All the planets aligned, and for that brief moment, all is right with the world. I got free coffee. Although I am very appreciative of the gesture from the weird cashier lady, her comment of it being just coffee disturbs me. It is not just coffee. It is the fuel that it takes to get stuff done, a lifeline for some, a comfort for others. It is never just coffee. "Thank you, ma'am," I said, as I took the cup off the counter, walked back through the door, and back over to where I was sitting, waiting for my ride. I lifted the cup up to my mouth, fully prepared to taste this warm sensation. Nothing came out. I'm thinking the lid must be closed, so I lowered the cup down to check it out. Nope, not closed. I lifted it again. Still nothing. I could feel the coffee moving around inside the cup, so I knew it was full. I lowered the cup once again, this time taking off the lid to see what the problem was. What I saw inside almost made me stop drinking coffee. Almost. As I lifted the lid, I saw the 2 beautiful blue eyes of my favorite coffee lady floating in my cup. One must have plugged the hole in the lid, stopping the coffee from coming out. I was in shock, horrified. Then I thought about it. There was no way that beautiful creature would ever go out with the likes of me. But now, I'd always have a piece of her wherever I'd go. So I took the eyes out of the cup, shaking the coffee off of them, and put them in my pocket, put the lid back on the cup, and commenced to drinking my coffee. Damn, it was good. My ride finally arrived and drove me home. I placed the eyeballs on my nightstand facing the bed, so every morning I can look into the eyes of my favorite cashier lady, just like I've dreamt for months. Dreams do come true. Mine did. All right, so that was a very interesting story. So what we're going to do now is go back, and I'm actually going to highlight the 6 seconds of silence that I left before I started recording. Now I do this that way it gives me a nice chunk of time to use for the noise reduction. Now, what noise reduction does is it gets a read of all the background noise in the audio and filters it out. That way you don't hear a bunch of people moving around in the background and other stuff like that. Makes it nice and clear, and makes it nice and clear so that you can just hear the voice that's speaking to you. So I've highlighted the 6 seconds of silence, that way I can get the noise profile for the filter. So now I'm going to click Control A and select the entire audio. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into noise reduction and move on to step 2. And you have 3 different options of here of how much reduction you want to apply, the sensitivity, such and such. Now the sliders are just where I need to be, so I'm going to go ahead and apply the filter. And the longer the audio recording, the longer it takes for this to go through, just like most of all of the effects for Audacity. But this is a 5-minute story, so it doesn't take that long. So the next step is I'm going to go to Effect. I'm going to go to Graphic Equalizer, and I'm going to apply the low roll off for speech, and that makes it sound just a little bit better in my opinion. And now the audio is a little bit quiet, so I'm going to go to Amplify, and I'm going to just increase that audio just a bit. Alright, that looks good to me. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I actually didn't make any errors in my narration this time around, which isn't a usual thing for me. Usually I misspeak multiple times, or I forget a word or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure that I actually read this entire story without any errors. But we can check that later. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the background music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Import, Audio, which will open up my most recent folder that I used for this, which is the Wiki folder. I actually have a folder for each of the musicians that I've used for my mini videos. So for this particular video, I am going to use the songs Obsession and Hold On. So I'm going to select both of these songs using the Control button, and I'm going to open them. So it puts Obsessions and Hold On into separate channels here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the time shift tool, and I'm going to drag Hold On and put it on the same channel as Obsessions. Now it doesn't quite fill up the entire narration, but it cuts off just close enough to the end that that's fine with me. So the music is going to be significantly louder than the actual speaking, so I'm going to turn down the gain to about 25. Now let's see what this sounds like. I'm actually just going to listen to the entire audio, that way I can hear what it sounds like with the music and catch any errors that I may have made. So let's begin. Free Coffee, written by MPZ1968. For anyone who knows me, I am an avid coffee drinker. I drink coffee 24/7. As a matter of fact, I have a Facebook page with the same name. Check it out. Anyway, I've got a very pleasant, yet very disturbing story to tell. So here we go. After work, while waiting for my ride, I decided to go over to a local coffee shop and grab a cup of coffee. So I strolled on over there, walked in the door, up to the counter, and ordered a medium coffee with cream and sugar. Just how I like it. Don't judge. The cashier lady, not my favorite cashier lady, a beautiful blonde goddess with angelic blue eyes that I'd been crushing on for months, I didn't see her anywhere. As a matter of fact, I didn't see anyone else either. Just me and the new girl, an older lady, kinda creepy with stringy gray hair, age spots, and these fucked up looking green eyes. Anyway, she went to go make my coffee. Seconds later, she came back with said coffee and placed it on the counter in front of me, rang it up, and told me the price. I, with anticipation of tasting this wonderful concoction that now sits in front of me, whipped out my debit card and proceeded to swipe it through the card reader. Then, the most horrific thing happened. Those 4 little words that no one with a debit card ever wants to hear came flashing on the screen. Unable to read card. No, this can't be happening. So I swiped my card again. Same thing. Again. Same thing. Ugh. So the creepy cashier lady says, "Let me see if I can swipe it through on my side." Okay, anything at this point. So she swiped the card through on her side. Same thing. Why? Lord, why? Meanwhile, I can hear the coffee calling my name. Mike. Mike. Oh, the torture. She then looked at me and says, "Hey, don't you work at the grocery store across the street?" I say, yes I do. And here's the disturbing part. She says, "It's just coffee. You can have it on the house." The angels started singing. All the planets aligned. And for that brief moment, all is right with the world. I got free coffee. Although I am very appreciative of the gesture from the weird cashier lady, her comment of it being just coffee disturbs me. It is not just coffee. It is the fuel that it takes to get stuff done, a lifeline for some, a comfort for others. It is never just coffee. "Thank you, ma'am," I said, as I took the cup off the counter, walked back through the door, and back over to where I was sitting, waiting for my ride. I lifted the cup up to my mouth, fully prepared to taste this warm sensation. Nothing came out. I'm thinking the lid must be closed, so I lowered the cup down to check it out. Nope, not closed. I lifted it again, still nothing. I could feel the coffee moving around inside the cup, so I knew it was full. I lowered the cup once again, this time taking off the lid to see what the problem was. What I saw inside almost made me stop drinking coffee. Almost. As I lifted the lid, I saw the 2 beautiful blue eyes of my favorite coffee lady floating in my cup. One must have plugged the hole in the lid, stopping the coffee from coming out. I was in shock, horrified. Then I thought about it. There was no way that beautiful creature would ever go out with the likes of me. But now, I'd always have a piece of her wherever I'd go. So I took the eyes out of the cup, shaking the coffee off of them, and put them in my pocket, put the lid back on the cup, and commenced to drinking my coffee. Damn, it was good. My ride finally arrived and drove me home. I placed the eyeballs on my nightstand facing the bed, so every morning I can look into the eyes of my favorite cashier lady just like I've dreamt for months. Dreams do come true. Mine did. Alright, so that sounded pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and save the file. I'm going to save it as free coffee. Now I'm going to export as a WAV file. So the next step is I'm going to create a thumbnail. So what I usually do is I go to Bing and use their image search. So I'm going to type in coffee and see what pops up. So let's go to images. Let's make the license public domain. And let's find a neat little picture of coffee. Let's see what we have here. Let's go with, let's do this one. I like this one. It's a pretty big image I can work with. PX here is the usual website I go to find my public domain images. Also Pixabay and others, but this usually is the go-to for most of the free images I download. So we'll download this image. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to File. We're going to create a new one, 1920 width by 1080 height. I'm going to make the background transparent. Alright, and then we're going to open as layer. Here is our image. Convert, and there it is. So it's a little bit big, so we'll make it smaller. Let's zoom out. Scale. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to merge this down, and I'm going to apply a border. That's just kind of my thing to do with my thumbnails. So we go to Decor, Fuzzy Border, and I'm going to click off Work on Copy because then I'll just create a whole new window. So we'll apply that. There's our border. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this particular image. I'm going to call it Free Coffee. And now I'm going to export. I'm going to call this Free Coffee BG for background. And I'm going to make this a JPEG. Export. So that saves the background without any text. But now I'm going to create a separate image with the text for the actual thumbnail image. So I'm going to go over here, and so now I'm going to go over here to the text tool, and I'm going to make the title. Now I use the Creepster font, which was a public domain font that I found a while back, and I'm going to type out Free Coffee, and I'm going to highlight it. Now I'm going to make the coffee red because as every horror narrator knows, you have to have that one red part of the title. So I'm going to make this text a little bit bigger. And I think I might make this text white. Maybe. kind of blends in with the cup there. No, I think I'll just keep it black. Alright, so I'm going to embolden the font. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the drop shadow in for my text, just to make it stand out a little bit more. I'm going to increase the opacity, decrease the blur radius, and I'm actually going to make the background white. Yep, and let's just kind of do some adjusting here. See how that looks. I think that looks pretty good. This isn't, you know, a typical video. It's just to kind of give you a rundown of the basics, so this should do us good. So I'm just going to move this a little bit more towards the center here. Then I'm going to create another for the accreditation of the author by, and I forget what the guy's name is. Oops, wrong icon. MPZ 1968. There we go. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger too. I'm just going to make that all red. Apply the drop shadow. About there. That looks good. And we're just going to move this down here. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take out the background and I'm going to save the text as a PNG image. So I'm going to go to Export As. I'm going to rename this Free Coffee TXT. Make this a PNG file. Alright, so that saved the background and that saved the text. So now I'm going to make it all visible, and this is where I make the actual thumbnail that you see when you scroll through your subscriptions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge all of this down to make it one solid image. Then I'm going to apply a filter, which I like to use the cartoon filter. Kind of gives me that kind of unique, you know, look that you can associate with my channel, because I always use this filter. Let's make that there. Let's work with the mask radius. Yeah, about that looks good to me. Alright, so then we're going to save this. We're going to export as free coffee .jpg. And there we have our thumbnail image. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up HitFilm. So now what I'm going to do is open up HitFilm Express and create a new. I always like my videos to be 1080p full HD. Alright, so now we are in HitFilm Express. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to Media. I'm going to import everything that I need. So first, let's find our audio, which was Free Coffee. I'm going to open it. Then we're going to go into Documents where my image is saved. Alright, so let's find our images. There they are. Free Coffee, the background. Free Coffee, the text. And then we're also going to highlight Nerdcore Creep Presents, as well as Thanks for Listening. And that brings in all of those images. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag the audio into the audio portion of the editor. And there it is. So next I'm going to throw in the background. and that's going to be present for the entirety of the video. So I'm going to drag the duration all the way to the end there. Now, I like to leave about 30 seconds after the end of the narration to kind of give you time to look at that outro. So let's see where the actual audio cuts off at. Cashier lady, just like I've dreamt for months. Dreams do come true. Mine did. Alright, so it stops about there. So I'm going to kind of line up the end of the image, and then I'm going to add 30 plus seconds. About there. Mine did. That didn't work. Mine did. So I'm going to leave off just a little bit of a tail here at the end, just to kind of give you that thanks for listening outro at the end there. So now let's add in our text. So I'm going to start with Nerdcore Creep Presents. Throw that in there. And we're going to have it cut off right before I start speaking. Which is about the 3-minute mark. Or just right about at the 6-minute mark there. Then I'm going to throw in the free coffee title. I'm going to drag it all the way over here to the end of the audio. Then I'm going to throw in thanks for listening right here at the end. All right, so let's see what the end sounds looks like here. Mine did. All right, so I'm going to shrink this down a little bit right to where I stop talking and put that there. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the transitions in. So we'll go to Effects, go all the way down here to Transitions, Video. So for the background image, I'm going to add in Fade to Color, which will fade from black to the image. And we'll just increase the duration just a little bit here. And then I'm going to add it at the end, so that it fades to black once the video is over. And we'll increase it just a little bit down here too. Alright, so now for the text, I'm actually going to use dissolve. I'm going to throw in the additive dissolve at the beginning and end of each of these. That way you get a nice, smooth transition between the texts. We'll increase some all just a little bit. Alright, so now let's see what our video looks like. Free coffee. Written by... I have noticed that there is just the tiniest bit of background noise in my audio. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm actually just going to silence this whole section here. That way we don't have that weird clicking that you heard. So I'm just going to highlight that. I'm going to silence it. And then I'm just going to export over the file. We'll replace it, mix it down. Okay. And then HitFilm will just adjust the audio. So let's try this again. Free Coffee. Written by MPZ1968. For anyone who knows me, I am an avid coffee drinker. I drink coffee 24/7. As a matter of fact, I have a Facebook page with the same name. Check it out. Anyway. Alright, so that sounds pretty good. Now let's in here, see how it ends off. Place the eyeballs on my nightstand facing the bed, so every morning I can look into the eyes of my favorite cashier lady, just like I've dreamt for months. Dreams do come true. Mine did. Alright, so I'm just going to make this a little bit longer here. Just give more time for the end part there. It seems pretty good to me. Just like I've dreamt for months. Dreams do come true. Mine did. Now that's just a little bit long, so we'll cut it off to about right here. Dreams do come true. Mine did. Alright, and I think that looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save. I'm going to call it Free Coffee. And so now I'm going to first, before we end it completely, I'm going to add in some effects. So let's cut back to the beginning here and then see what kind of effects we're going to add. Now I like to do the grungy effects. I like to add in some grain as well as some flicker. So let's see what it looks like. That flicker is just a little bit too rapid for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to decrease the frequency just a little bit. I'm going to darken it just a little bit. Free Coffee. Decrease the frequency just a little bit more. Actually, took it all off. So that's written by MPZ1968. Increase to 8. For anyone who knows me, I am an avid coffee drinker. Good to me. Let's increase the size of the grain a little bit. I drink coffee 24/7. As a matter of... Alright, so I think that's where we're going to leave it. We're going to save again, and then we're going to export. Call it Free Coffee. And then we'll let it do its thing. Now, depending on the size of the video, this could take anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. It's a pretty short video, so it shouldn't take too long. About 5 minutes means it'll probably be about 10 to 15 minutes, and yes, it's going to be 15 minutes. So we're going to let it do its thing, and then we'll be back to upload it to YouTube once it's done. And we're back. So the video is completely rendered and ready to be uploaded. So let's go to studio.youtube.com. Alright, and now we go to Create, Upload Video, select File, and now we find our video, which will be in the Finished Videos folder, and we'll look for Free Coffee. There it is, MP4. Open. And now we'll let it start to upload. Now, while it's doing the uploading, I'm going to start putting in the description information. So, the title is Free Coffee by MPZ1968. Now, I already have a predetermined description for all of my videos, which adds the whole "did you enjoy this narration, yada yada yada" thing. And I've got a section here where I can actually put in the unique info for the specific video. So for this video, let's put in this short narration was used for my 200 subscriber special walkthrough. Enjoy. So then I once again put the title of the story by MPZ1968, and then I copy the URL, place it right there. Next, I have a spot for my thumbnail image and for my music. So, even though the thumbnail image itself was public domain, I still like to put the sources of where I get everything for my videos. If not to show, give credit to the original artist, but also gives you an idea of where I get my pictures in case you are interested in finding similar. So, I'll highlight the URL for that, place it there, and then we used music by Wiki, and we'll put his URL to his YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Wiki. Then I also like to put his personal website, thedarkpiano.com, and then I also like to put his Twitter. /music, if I'm not mistaken. So now we have the accreditation to the source and the author. We have accreditation for the thumbnail image that I used, as well as accreditation towards the musician that I used. Then I also put the software that I used, which was Audacity for recording, GIMP for editing the thumbnail, and HitFilm Express for the video editing. So now what I'll do is I'll upload the thumbnail that I created. So we'll go to Documents, which is where they saved. I have to fix that so that it saves in the Images folder. So let's find it, which was Free Coffee. There it is. We'll add to the appropriate playlists, which is at this point just the uploads playlist. That way it's the most recent of all the videos I've uploaded. Make sure everything is right here. No, it is not for kids, but no, I do not want an age restriction. Go down to more options, which gives you the tags. So let's go ahead and throw in some tags here. Free horror stories, MPZ1968. Free coffee, nerd core creep. right. So far it's 54% uploaded. So if we try to go over here to video elements, nothing's going to be available yet because the standard definition version of the video hasn't been uploaded yet. But once that's done, I can go ahead and add the title screen. So we'll let it do its thing for now, and then I'll check back with you once it's done uploading. Hey guys, so Nerdcore Creep here again. So basically when I recorded this last segment, the audio actually didn't get recorded for some reason. Not really sure what happened here, so I'll just kind of talk you through the main points of what was happening here. So basically the video finished uploading the standard version, which allowed me to add in the in-screen elements, which include the subscribe button, Muse channel button, and then a playlist and the last video that I posted. So then here, I actually went ahead and published the video. I made sure to explain that you have to have it set to public. And you also have other options such as unlisted and private, and then you can schedule it for a later date. But for this particular one, we made it public right then and there. And then we shared the video on Twitter, as many of you may have seen yesterday. And just wrote in a little info about the video. So here, I actually meant to hit the copy button, but accidentally clicked the actual video link, which took me to the video itself. But what I was trying to do was copy the URL so that I could actually post the link to where the story was written so that the original author could see that I had posted it and let them know that I used it. So, So, great story. Here's a narration of it used for my 200 subscribers special walkthrough. Hope you liked it. And then I forgot to put the link. So, go back in and paste it. And there it is. And that does it for my 200 subscriber special. Thank you, every one of you, for taking the time to subscribe to my channel, listen to my stories. All of the writers of all the stories I've done are very talented, and I've had a blast reading them for all of you. I hope my channel can continue to grow, and I hope to do this for a long time coming. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a little something about the process of being a narrator. And if you had any questions, I hope that I answered them for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Twitter, Reddit, or even leave a comment here on YouTube. Consider liking, subscribing, sharing, all that. It really helps a lot. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Have a creepy night.